to episode 3. I am super excited today to bust a few myths about hormones and weight gain. This is what really jazzes me as being a nutrition nerd.
Well, that is Charlene Stiles. She is a certified holistic nutritionist and a life coach and a metabolism mechanic. I'm Cheryl Gordon. I provide education about sleeping better, losing weight, and feeling stronger for midlife women using the tools of yoga and mindfulness. Now, this today is such an essential topic. All most of us know at this stage of life is that hormones are wonky and ruining my life.
Absolutely. What we may have always taken for granted has suddenly shaken our confidence and maybe even the scale as well, right? And I get it. Even for me, what I was used to doing for exercise and for nutrition just stopped working.
Yeah, and I thought I just like breeze through menopause because, I do yoga and yoga does balance hormones. But with the cataclysmic shifts for women over 50, a whole new level of understanding is necessary.
Agreed. So let's dive into that. And you talk about these easy for you to say, cataclysm. That is not an exaggeration. The chances, the changes happening in midlife, they're not just about menopause, they're about how our entire system is interconnected. And I look at this as the intersection of midlife, where the hormone domino effect collides with years of built up imbalances. So we have nutritional gaps, nutritional deficiencies, stress overload, digestive issues, a metabolism that's just not playing by the same rules anymore. And it's like our bodies suddenly changed the game on us, and no one actually told us the rules or the new rules.
And my yoga and self-care rituals were great, but there was this background deficit for decades. We just keep pushing because we can get away with it. No one told us when we were 30 that burning the candle at both ends would kick us in the ass someday, but maybe they did, and I just didn't listen.
They probably did it. It didn't hit the time right. I agree. So when we look at hormones, when one hormone shifts, it triggers this whole cascade in others. So it sets off a chain reaction that affects absolutely everything from our metabolism to our mood to our sleep and even how we store fat. So, for example, what's most predominant when in women, as our estrogen starts to decline, it impacts our insulin sensitivity, meaning that our body is prompted and geared to store more fat, particularly around the belly. So, lower estrogen also impacts cortisol, our stress hormone, which can increase our cravings and disrupt our sleep. So, when sleep is off, guess what? That affects more hormones, our hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin. They get out of whack, making you feel hungrier and less satisfied with food overall.
I can so relate. So it's not just hormones gone wild, it's a whole cascade of effects that makes it harder to feel balanced.
Exactly. And that's why what used to work for diet and exercise just may not work anymore. So, but when you understand this domino effect, we can start making shifts that work with our body instead of fighting against it.
It is not just about willpower, is it? It's about working with our biology.
Absolutely, yes. And when we once understood, or once we understood why behind these changes, we can take the steps to reset metabolism. We can balance our hormones and we can feel like ourselves again.
And it's not just estrogen that causes the weight gain, but it's the drop in many influential hormones that starts this domino effect. So, Charlene, why is it that insulin resistance becomes such a big deal?
Cheryl, I think that's such a great question. Insulin is one of the most powerful hormones in our body. It's responsible for regulating our blood sugar and how our body stores or burns energy, and AKA fat. But as we hit midlife and these hormonal changes, especially the drop in estrogen, it can make our cells less sensitive to insulin. So that means our body has to produce more insulin to keep the blood sugar stable.
And more insulin means
More fat storage. So
I
insulin
thought so.
is a fat storage hormone, particularly around the belly. So when insulin levels stay high, it becomes harder for our body to burn that stored fat. Plus, the insulin resistance can then lead to these energy crashes, the sugar cravings, and that feeling of being frustrated with the weight gain, even when you think you're doing all the things right.
And it's not just about carbs, right? It's about how your body actually processes them differently now.
Yes, and how and when we eat them. So the same bowl of pasta that didn't affect you in your 30s might be a bigger trigger now that insulin is has a bigger response in our 50s, leading to more fat storage and more cravings later.
Wow, this makes so much sense. So, how do we keep insulin in check?
Yeah, and the key here is to balance blood sugar, which means focusing on balanced meals of protein, fat, and fiber at every meal. So we're choosing these slow digesting carbs and avoiding long periods of fasting or extreme dieting. Strength training will also help because muscle makes your body more insulin sensitive.
Okay, so we've all heard about reducing the sugar and the simple carbs, but it's actually a bit more complicated, right?
True. The good news is, though, in this topic, it is making its way to mainstream now more than ever. There are some simple food fixes that can make a big difference without feeling deprived. So it's not just about cutting sugar, it's about finding the right kind of carbs and simple carbs like the white bread, the pastries, the sugary snacks. These all are going to spike blood sugar and lead to crashes, cravings, and fat storage. But complex carbs, ones that have fiber like veggies and legumes, these are going to break down more slowly because of the fiber that they contain. So keeping the energy stable rather than peaking and then crashing like it does with simple carbs. And then when we pair those with protein and healthy fats, that helps even more, making it easier to control our cravings, boost the energy, shed the stubborn belly fat, and perhaps the most supportive way of looking at carbs is not to eat them on their own, is to have them paired with a balanced meal or at the end of a meal.
In my training, I've become convinced that deprivation in terms of harsh low calorie diets or intermittent fasting really screws up the nervous system. Um, it can make us really vulnerable to binges and other behaviors just to make us feel better. This can even be things like over exercising or excessive shopping, a little too much wine. So I really love your balanced, holistic approach here.
Thank you. And this is really why we're here today, right? Trying to reassure women just like us that losing this menopause middle of the belly is actually doable without extremes.
And I know that we'll talk more next session about stress and weight gain, but can I just insert here how essential it is that women invest in self-care?
Mm.
For example, I make great food choices all day long, and then it's after dinner. I'm tired. I've put in a full day. I'm trying to, block out all the messages in my head that I didn't get this done or I should have done this instead of that. And the chips and the chocolate are calling to me while I'm just trying to chill with Netflix. Now, willpower is just too hard for me when my defenses are down. I'm tired. And my nervous system knows that if I just dive into whatever the yummy treat is, I'll feel instantly better. It might be the first time all day that I feel starting to feel relaxed or that I finally do something just for myself. And so that's the secret right there. We need to build in regular breaks throughout our day when we feel some nurturing, when we feel a bit more relaxed, that our needs are being recognized. We don't want to wait until the end of the day when everyone else has had what they need. So here's a shameless plug for yoga and mindfulness snacks. If you snack on yoga or mindfulness at regular intervals throughout the day, you will not hit after dinner so depleted. You can find tons of resources on my website, things that take as little as 3 minutes. And I promise you, if you take this up as an experiment, you will definitely find those nighttime urges for simple carbs reduce.
I love that. And it also may be worth mentioning here that by balancing the macros, the proteins, the healthy fat, and complex carbs at every meal, this can also help with the nighttime cravings. And I'm really excited that we're going to dive into this deeper into this topic in our 4-part course, which is all about hormones and weight gain. So be sure to sign up for either one of our newsletters or comment below so that you'll get priority access to it when we release it.
Awesome. I'm excited to get going on that project. Now, if you found any of this helpful, please share this with other fabulous women. In the meantime, you can find more resources on either of our websites. The addresses are below, and they'll be at the end of this video. Or please subscribe to our YouTube channels, comment, let us know how this new knowledge is shifting your exercise or dietary habits. Have a great day.
Now.